they're just cutting jobs. They're cutting jobs. They're cutting, their wages. They're cutting prices. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, it is absolutely insane whenever you think about it. Now, there are some things that are like, as you mentioned, about the way that Bernie sees things that are actually they look and sound more logical. And you can see that it's not so crazy or far fetched. And you see that Trump and Bernie were actually kind of similar in certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't caught that episode of the Rogan podcast with Bernie. I've just spent a lot of time making sure that I had my fun little audio clip. So I apologize to all the witnesses of this video.
I apologize to nobody.
I'm a slacker. I spent way too much time on the short squeeze and fixing my audio for Bernie. So fortunately, we've got a great patriot that works his butt off for all of us. And that's Joshua, who actually got into the podcast and took some nuggets out of it. So Joshua, if you hit us with some highlights of like some similarities that you noticed between Biden and Trump.
Well, one thing that it caught me by surprise, and you can go watch the video, and you could critique me if you thought differently than I did. But they're both anti-lobbyists. So Trump didn't take on any lobbyists.
I apologize to nobody.
What he did, and that's why he got in so much trouble, especially why he was in so much controversy and scandals, is because he didn't allow any lobbyist groups to contact him. And so what ended up happening was his constituents, the people who worked for him, those companies ended up paying those people to try to get a word into the president. So Bernie and Trump are both against lobbying, which is it's pretty freaking awesome. It allows, okay, if the people voted for this person and they trust his best interest, we don't need big tech pharmaceuticals to pay their way into getting what they want pushed through. Another thing, they both agreed with the fact that we should have left that his presidential mandate for keeping the price of insulin and life-saving drugs low. They both agreed with that. They both said it's a catastrophe how much money the pharmaceutical companies make in this country compared to other countries. And this maybe not be a comparison between them. It is in a way, but they're both labeled radical. And that's what I found. I was like, wait a second. So they labeled radical because they're, Trump, say is extreme right, which I disagree with. Bernie, yeah, he's a socialist. I'm not going to go out and vote for Bernie ever. But he's labeled radical, and he'll even explain to you like they're really not that radical, and he's right in a sense. But it's because the media, the mob, the elite, they want to label people as radicals to deter the people on the edge who maybe would vote a certain way to know, like, keep with the herd, right? We talked about getting caught with the herd. They want to keep you in the herd. They want to keep you going through. They want to keep the nonsense radicalness out of your brain and get you to vote their way. It was.
Well, it's also in the psychology of it too. There's specific ways of programming language in a way that repeated often enough will change its meaning. So when you continue to assign radical to a specific person or party, and you continuously repeat that, it starts to change what the person's mental landscape, their vision of that individual, what they know of them, and they start looking at them that way. Now, if you've already had a pretty decent attachment to that particular person or party prior to that labeling, then you start to feel like you're being accused of being labeled as that versus you see as an outsider and going, I should stay on the fence and or stay away from that and go on the other side of the fence, sitting on the fence. So radical, white supremacist, Nazi, neo-Nazi, nationalist has been collapsed in with white nationalist, which that's not what nationalist is. That's actually directing it back, saying, well, white nationalist going back to the Nazis, and there's like that happens, right? So they keep using that language. The other thing is whenever they use things like, okay, well, you got the radical socialist, and we'll refer to that because it's not necessarily like the ideas are necessarily overly radicalized. They sound good in theory, right? The hypothesis of it sounds good because like, hey, we all can actually live comfortably if we spread out the wealth in such a way. But we're human beings. We don't want to have identical things to other people because there's a point in time when we want to stand out for our identity so that we can at least see from our evolutionary values that we become more of a desirable mate. procuring resources so that in your youth you work really hard, you accumulate so much so that when you're in your later years and the body is not in the same level of conditioning that can tolerate the hard work youth bodies can, you want to have as much as you can to support you through that time to make your life easier. So what they want to do is level it off so that we have as much as when we're young as with what we would have when we're old, and we have our creature comforts requirements satisfied. It sounds great in theory, but once you get into, and I mean linguistic theory, not scientific theory. So when you get into, well, does Joshua want to have the exact same car that I have? Does Joshua want to have the same house that I have? Does Joshua want to have every single attribute that I have for himself? Does he want to come across as being more of a clone of a sense? You know, maybe not necessarily so much on the idea, but if you go long enough in that particular type of structure, you also start molding into a very similar human being as the other person. And it's something that we fight against at a genetic level because we want to stand out. We want to stand out enough. We want to be a part of a culture. We want to be part of a group. We want to communicate with each other. We want to have hierarchical values because those hierarchical values give us a structure to how to become better, how to get a higher position within our community, how to actually procure more for ourselves so we can live more comfortably. That's the reality of it. So even if everything else stayed at a pristine level and we say everybody's going to have enough money to live, there's plenty of people right now, the elitists prove that there's not enough money to have them stop because they just get to a point where you have Jeff Bezos, the second richest man in the world. Why is he even taking money anymore? Why isn't he just turning it over? Because it's not about the money. It's about the power. It's about the identity. It's about what he can do as a human being having that much control because money equals control under a power system. So that's more what he's up to. Why isn't he giving that? Those are the people that are the elitists. They're the ones that are the outliners that tell you we can't create that society. There's always going to be people that want something different. We can't tell people what they should want because we have how many commercials out there right now trying to offer us products. If we all wanted the same thing, then only one product would be available or only one product in a category would be available versus multiple different ones. It's not always about the price. It's also about the fact that you're going to stand out and look different. You're going to be different. You're going to have some sort of attention drawn to you versus being forgotten easily. We all hate being forgotten easily. It hurts, doesn't it, Joshua?
Oh, yeah.
You meet somebody and they're like, hey, have we met before? And you're like, shit, dude, I know we met. I remember your name. They're like, did we? It's insulting, but that insulting means that it hurt.
Yeah.
So this is why the idea of socialism and communism just doesn't work. Individuals don't want that. People are corrupt at times. You know, you give people power. You ever seen somebody who was poor that became wealthy and you see how their personalities change? It's not in every time every person that's poor to get to wealthy it turns into a jerk. That's not true, but it does happen to some. And it happens in my experience, probably a little bit more than often. So, but I'm not labeling everybody with one brush stroke. I mean, if I were going to do that, I'd just go ahead and finish off the short squeeze and have everybody have at it.
Right.
You know?
It's just funny how all these people who are in such position of power, like Google, Apple, Jeff Bezos, thank goodness we have Elon Musk, but they all vote Democratic. They all support. So if you're for the people, right, if the Democratic Party is supposed to be for the people, then why are you representing this elitist movement? And if that's not a light bulb that goes off in your head as far as, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would the rich people not want the rich people to getting richer? It's because they're in bed with them. Like they pay them, like, but they know they're going to be all right. And
it's a facade. It's kind of like a marketing campaign in itself. I want everybody to have an equal value. So what it does is it pulls the people that don't have it under them, and they're more likely to purchase their product or support whatever their efforts are, wherever they're headed. So it's just another way to get people to follow them. You know, if it were legitimately true, then even Bernie Sanders used to curse the millionaire. It was regular. He's like, we have too many millionaires. No one needs that much money. I can't have the millionaires. And then he becomes a millionaire himself and his language switches like that. It's the billionaires. The billionaires are corrupt. It's the billionaires. And it sounds more like he's just outside beating on the door going, I may be a billionaire. Let me in and I'll stop bitching. We'll talk about the trillionaires. The trillionaires, they're the problem. You know? I left Bernie and started becoming JFK again. Did I do it?
What needs to happen is we need to get all the billionaires out, because if you really look at what's going on here, we could easily just pay for healthcare if we tax the rich and give the power back to the people.
Yeah,
that's my best Bernie. That's my best Bernie.
That is actually a damn good Bernie.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'm a poor judge because I can't even hold an accent long enough other than a shitty Arnold. And then occasionally my JFK comes out when I'm trying to make some other one. And then the Irish accent when I'm trying to do British. I'm not good at it. People are like, you're good at you're good at impersonations. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. You're just trying to get in my bed. Get out of here.
He goes hard on certain like free healthcare. Like I can't do what has his raspy voice, but he'll emphasize certain words. Like every American should have a public education. Like he'll slow it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like it kind of has a cadence similar to like the way that Christopher Walken talks.
Mm-hmm.
He just got a very unique signature to the way he speaks. It is actually funny as hell. All right. So with the why I feel socialism doesn't work is beyond the economic concept, and it comes down to the individual's preferences and why it doesn't work. The elitists want more money. They're going to keep getting more money. They have more money than they'll ever spend in their lifetime, in their family's lifetime, probably for the remainder of all existence. Now, there's a damn good chance Bezos, if the American dollar continues, Bezos' family forever is not going to have to worry about it. Thanks for tuning in. This is Chad with Waking the People, and this was just some shorts, which is just the clips of our episodes that we're putting out so that you don't have to watch the whole thing, just some highlights. If you do like this, please go to YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, even our Facebook pages to subscribe, get some bell notifications so you know when we're going to go live. And until next time, remember, watch out for the billionaires and the millionaires. Until next time. Enjoy.